Yeah, yeah. Instead of starting the stream, we'll end the stream on a react. We'll do that. So this is from a really small channel. Must have just started, and this isn't a knock on the guy, of course. Probably just started. It's Kicker Games, and made a Star Citizen video titled 4 days ago, titled "Star Citizen: Should We Be Worrying About Realism?" And my response is no. I've been very strongly against this. Like in the last little while, because it was just so I got so sick and tired of hearing Jared say we go to the point of realism and come back to the point of fun, when the whole point of playing video games is fun. Even games that are super hyper realistic, or meant to be like, they're called like job games. Think Factorio, Farm Sim, I don't know, trading card simulator, things like that. They still start at a basis of fun, where CIG is not doing a good job of that, I don't think. And yeah, it's an 11-minute video, and let's see what they have to say. I'm very curious about this video. I caught this thumbnail a while ago, and I haven't watched it yet. So here we go.
Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well today. I know it's been a minute. I've been gone for almost a month now, and I've just been super busy with things going on in life.
Okay, so not a new channel, but like tough to be
But
consistent because
besides
life.
that, I'm
That's how it
back,
is.
and I'm excited to
Welcome
continue the
back.
grind a little bit more. But I just really wanted to hop on today to talk about the pros
Just again, I usually say this at the beginning of my reacts to a channel I've never reacted before. We only react to channels like this once. We don't know them. We don't know if it's okay. I always ask for advice, or for like agreement that it's okay that I react to your videos if I think it's like fun and conversational and I can add to it. This one definitely seems fun, conversational, and I can add to it. But basically, because like my Twitch stream is pretty big and my YouTube channel is pretty big, that you watch them once, bang, they're going to get an influx of subs and viewers and people getting to see their channel. The first time is always really beneficial. After that, it's only if they like what I have to say or enjoy watching my reaction to their videos, right? Yeah, the first time you like somebody like myself reacts to a video, it's always going to be a little bit more stonks than any other time. So I do it once. If they don't say anything, I'll probably never do it again. Or if they say, hey, let's yeah, I really like your reacts, or like, that's what happens a lot. So putting that out there so you guys are aware of it. But here we go.
pros and cons of realism in Star Citizen, and why the most realistic decisions for the game aren't always the best decisions. Besides
As a matter of fact, they could be the worst, right? Transit.
that, though, I'm Kicker. Thank you for being here, and let's talk about some Star Citizen. First off, I wanted to kind of define realism. The way I describe it in video games is simply portraying something as it would be in real life. This goes for almost anything in games, and Star Citizen has plenty of realistic and unrealistic traits.
Yep.
These traits are the key to balancing the game from a tedious, boring experience to a fun and enjoyable game. Now, let's talk about the need for balance between realistic and unrealistic factors in Star Citizen.
So, I mean, first off, Star Citizen's in the future, so realism's hard. How simple did menial tasks get 1,000 years in the future? Like, do we really think that we're still riding trains and having to run to go get stuff at the grocery store? Probably not. We don't even have that nowadays, right? It's kind of funny seeing the rise of like Uber Eats and shopping apps and things like that, where people go and shop for you and bring it to your house. Yet we don't have that in Star Citizen, because Star Citizen started its development before those apps even existed or were popularized at the very least.
So, one of the things I notice within many community posts on socials is often the complaints about parts of the game feeling tedious or boring
Yeah.
due to the physicalized and realistic nature of how you interact with things in the verse. One
Specifically, freight elevators.
example of this, and one of the most heated topics, is the
Yep.
physicalization of cargo loading. It is undeniable that making players physically load and unload their own cargo has increased the overall time spent doing cargo trading. Yes,
They're also not doing cargo trading in the most realistic way. They're doing it in an incredibly tedious way that makes no sense. to a realism standpoint. The only realism is that the box that you're moving is physicalized. Everything else is so far from reality, it's not even funny.
For some players who aren't or weren't expecting these changes, this could have been a more frustrating transition. Though, given that CIG wants to make the verse a more physicalized environment, these changes were only a matter of time. This is where the realism aspect is a bit of a debate. Yes, unloading and loading cargo is a more realistic take that will take up much more time than before,
Yep.
but does it add to the gameplay at all? Without a doubt, I do believe it does.
I also believe it does. I'm in 100% agreement with moving cargo being something that is actually cool. I think it adds to the gameplay when you're stacking cargo missions and you have to load up your ship a certain way in order to unload it more quickly. I find that to be very interesting and very cool. But what is the tedium part? It's the thing on the screen. It's the fact that we've removed the tedium in a lot of ways with the Argo Atlas, but the Argo Atlas isn't that effective. It has its own problems. This thing, they've made it so bad that you don't want to use it. And then you have the dedicated tractor beam that is pretty good, but has the scroll wheel problems that you have with the other ones. And then the ship-based tractor beams aren't on all the ships, and yeah, so on and so forth. So they're the realism when it comes to this, as far as physicalizing cargo, is not the issue. It is the tedium of how you interact with it.
See, before you added this realistic cargo system in, players were able to fill up any size ship in the blink of an eye. Was this an easy and great way for making big money in a short period of time? Absolutely. But there was a lack of balance due to there being almost no restrictions in the gameplay loop. So
There was also no risk in the sense of a pirate couldn't steal your cargo.
So when physicalized cargo was added, it almost automatically helped balance the system.
But then on top of that, with the direction of the game that they wanted to go, that even if your ship was soft death, you could recover your cargo. So not even like someone stealing it. If your ship got soft death by an NPC, you could claim your ship, come back with an empty one, get the cargo, and finish the mission or finish the cargo run, right? Physicalizing cargo made the game better. I think it's hard to argue against that.
I know some players want to fill up a Hercules by themselves, but when you're trying to load a ship designed for a massive load of cargo, it's going to generally take you a bit of time.
Let's scroll back here a little bit. It's not just the ships are also the problem, right? It's not the C2 having a massive cargo hold is also not the problem with loading it with cargo. The problem is look at him on the ground and look at where he wants the cargo. Oh, wait, you can't because you can't see it. If the ship should be able to drop its cargo bay or lower itself or something where the cargo is within your plane of view. So it is a in and out. It is not a walk up a ramp and go in and out. And that's actually okay with the C2. Reason being is the C2 isn't actually meant or was not created to only move cargo. Its main cargo is actually meant to be tanks and vehicles. So it having this giant ramp and all these things, that's okay. Does it happen to hold more cargo than all the other ships in the game, or did for a while? Yes. Now, it will probably be a very good vehicle transport at some point, while other ships will pass by this one very quickly. Think the Drake Ironclad or something like that, right? We'll surpass this at some point. But it's also the ship design that creates the tedium. It's not the actual wanting us to move the boxes. It's so many other moving parts.
But when you're trying to load a ship designed for a massive load of cargo, it's going to generally take you a bit of time. This by itself emphasizes group play. Yes, you might not want to take that long to load a ship, but that's also why there are smaller ships designed for solo and smaller crews. CIG also added an auto load feature that removes the loading stage, though it does cost a
not for everything, and not for missions.
Costs a decent bit of money, it allows part of the process to be assisted if you lack the resources or time to load your ship. The overall example of changing the cargo system to be a more physicalized and realistic one
Okay,
is
YouTube.
a positive change, in my opinion. It is a solid blend that creates balance and allows for more considerations like what ship size you have and if you have the time or resources to load your ship. I know that this is still a debated topic, but it's important that you remember this is an ongoing development.
Yeah, but it's not as black and white as he's making it seem, right? There's so much nuance to this. It's the tractor beams being crappy. It's the ship designs coming before the cargo change being crappy, right? There's so many
Though
things.
this feature can feel tedious and frustrating, we are still waiting on many other systems and mechanics that will impact the way the cargo system works. We're going to talk about this a little bit more towards the end, but now I want to move on to the example of realism that is awesome but seriously affects how the game performs. This feature would be persistence. One of the coolest
Hmm.
features added in the past few years also lands itself as one of the most painful features. Long term persistence has always been an awesome concept. The idea of stumbling upon the remains of previous dogfights or even just finding loot in random abandoned ships creates an awesome level of immersion. So,
Can you move cam on top and hide chat? You can't see the text on the video. What? The text on the video is from CitizenCon 2023. It's not relevant.
why does this feature create so many
I know.
issues? The answer is server degradation. We all know that server degradation is not solely caused by persistent entity streaming, but it certainly has gotten worse since this was implemented. Yes, it is absolutely realistic to have everything that is physical persist within an environment, but is it worth it for the pain that it induces on the servers? In recent times, CIG has been implementing cleanup features to help with these issues, but it still clearly affects aspects of the game. Many points of interest become graveyards for abandoned ships, and contested zone and PvE areas seemingly have hundreds of bodies laying around. That's also not even mentioning the issue of medical gowns and water bottles littering landing zones.
Yeah, he's right. Like whenever someone says something and you don't have a good argument against it, you're probably right, you know? But the only thing that I would argue against is the kind of the example that I gave before. If how do I do a corpse run if we're not doing persistence, right? So that's super important still.
Yes, it is a very cool feature that can create immersive, exciting moments, but the system still needs optimizations and a better cleanup outline to function more efficiently.
Yeah,
And even
for
though it
sure.
is realistic to have things persist, it's also very realistic to throw things away and clean up areas when they're not being used.
Correct. But what it all depends on what those things are. And that's why I agree, like, just they need to be optimized. Because like my things need to exist. Right. But a piece of a broken ship that's been there for a week does not. Right. It's they haven't dialed it in correctly whatsoever. Right. And it's causing so many problems. The but I kind of feel like if I lost a ship and I don't play Star Citizen for a week, I do think it should be in the location that I left it, right? If I soft at the ship, I don't think it should just be cleaned up. I think it should spawn back in with me or something. So as long as no one's around, maybe.
I'm not really talking like how they do it in FPS games nowadays, and it's pretty common for almost every single game to have something that's spawned in that's not being used anymore, idle, just sitting there, it's dead, whatever, get despawned in front of your eyes. And I think that's not anything that's like out of the ordinary for games.
I would agree with that. Like the idea that they don't want things to despawn in front of you, they do, and they're going to no matter what. I think one of the better examples is try to just never-endingly fill a reclaimer. Like just go around with a reclaimer and constantly get construction materials from salvage missions. Like you'll have so much in your buffer. Take it all out, 16 SU containers, dump them. Once you get to like 50 or 25 or whatever the number of containers is, it'll start just poofing the containers out of existence. So the original ones that you made will start disappearing one by one. The more you add, there'll be a cap and they'll never go above that cap. it happens already, and I don't know their idea of not doing it. That's gross. Not really. You're going way above the cap of how much the ship should be holding anyway. So I don't consider it that bad of a thing.
And it's certainly cool that Star Citizen wants to go against that so that, the things that you see, the things that you find will exist on that server for as long as that server is alive. But it clearly causes some issues. So
Yeah.
I do think that things like dynamic server meshing will really help improve this. But I do think persistence as a whole has a long way to go before it works as CIG intended to. For now, we just kind of know it as a realistic feature that causes issues within the verse. Now, I did want to move on to some of the future realistic features that may come with some issues
Okay.
whenever they first arrive.
What's
First
next?
off, I hate to say it, but it's Maelstrom. This is one of my most hyped upcoming systems, but it definitely has its own set of concerns. The initial concern I have comes with persistence and server health. With such a dynamic system, how will this not only affect the servers, but also persistence? When a ship breaks apart, will every small piece that fell off that ship persist, or will it despawn after a short period of time?
Good question. And I think the example that they gave, and it clearly was faked, right, is so bad. I think it's coming up right now where you'll see the two Gladius run into each other and break into a billion pieces.
A similar question has to be asked about destructible objects and buildings as well. Will we see buildings respawning after we leave a location, or will that building simply be destroyed forever? I highly doubt it'll just be destroyed forever, but
Yeah.
when you're making a more realistic system like this, it's going to require some more boundaries and optimizations. Excluding gameplay features, though, realism is scattered within every corner of Star Citizen. Things like dynamic weather, photorealistic clouds, increasing render distances, and creating more dense and filled out environments, these are all a decent cause for concern on the performance side of this game. I know CIG will be optimizing the living hell out of it, especially.
I call BS that this is even in the PU, I think is what you're saying. Only in Squadron. Yeah, maybe what they showed wasn't faked, but it was like their Squadron version.
For 1.0,
Yeah.
but adding such realistic environments certainly can create issues by themselves.
I think
This
the
game
best
is
point he
already
makes is like, one day ago you went here and you completely annihilated this base, and then the next day you come back and it's just rebuilt, and you're like,
so beautiful.
realism,
But the
eh?
struggle for decent performance has certainly been an issue. CIG has always pushed the bar in terms of fidelity, and though I am an absolute nerd for beautiful games, I certainly feel the pain of players struggling for decent performance.
Yeah.
I think objectively, realistic visuals are perfectly welcome into this game. It's just
You don't get to make this argument though. This is a Chris Roberts game, right? You could make the argument, but what I'm saying is that going in, this was always going to be the case. Like around release, it was always going to push the boundaries of whatever hardware existed. I had to go to my friend's house, and I think it was a 386 or something you needed in the late 90s. I had to go to my friend's house just to play Wing Commander 3 because my computer could not play Wing Commander 3. It could play 1 and 2, but it couldn't play 3. And I think the 1 and 2 needed a 386. I don't even know what 3 needed. So it was always that way. Like you needed the best hardware in order to play the Chris Roberts games.
just a matter of the performance that creates, the overall cause for concern. So, after looking at some of the more realistic features in Star Citizen, I think it's pretty safe to say we can answer the question, is realism an issue? Objectively speaking, I
Yes.
don't think it is, but I think it can become one of the largest issues that CIG faces if they do not implement it properly and balance it accordingly.
I don't. We still have a few more minutes left in the video, but I think the point that he misses and just goes over completely is the idea that they always go to the point of realism first and then bring it back to the point of fun. I think that is at this stage, it is the dumbest decision you could possibly make at this stage. I think it's what got them here because the focus was on the locations and the cities and the ships. So realism in terms of pipes being there or a toilet being in your ship, because it would be there whether or not they were going to have toilet mechanics or not, didn't matter. It was the idea that it was immersive and as realistic as possible to a space and sci-fi experience 1,000 years in the future, right? The planets, the locations, the cities, the FPS weapons, the armor, and the movement and the animations, right? Okay, that made sense. But when the gameplay aspects and what you do at these locations is trying to be as realistic as possible, I think that's the mistake CIG is making. That is going to be their downfall if they continue to do that. If they start with fun and bring it back to trying to make it as immersive as possible if they can, then they're probably going to succeed a lot more than what they had been doing and what they are doing right now. I think it's pretty stupid what they're doing right now in a lot of ways.
One of the things that kind of bothers me is that Star Citizen is an unrealistic game. Having a realistic space game like Star Citizen would not be fun or enjoyable. There might be, a small community that enjoys that really realistic role playing that takes hours on end, but Star Citizen simply isn't that game. Yes, it's a game where you can spend hours on end doing.
Yeah, but let's look at the ship that's on the screen. 500 SCU of cargo, can barely interact with it. They put the look of the ships first, and it has absolutely entirely took away the fun in so many aspects. Look at every single ship's cargo grid. It is the stupidest and most unrealistic way that a ship would be stocked with cargo. Nearly every single ship makes no sense at all outside of the Argo Raft, the Misk Hull A, and the Misk Hull C. There might be one or two others. But there are, Starlancer coming a little bit later is okay, but still has its problems. They put the realism first, and the realism part was selling you on the spaceship, right? And they never understood what the fun was while designing those spaceships, and it has made the fun less fun. Like, the main point of this video was the tedium around cargo. That's what he started with. And the tedium around cargo is 1,000% about every other decision than allowing you to pick up and move cargo. It's been about tractor beams, and it's been about the ships, and it's been about the locations. It's been about freight elevators not working, hangars not working, all that stuff.
Things, but if we were to take it to that ultra realistic factor, I just don't think it would be the enjoyable experience some people, including myself, think it would be. At the same time, though,
physicalized cargo made it less fun. That's the problem. You really did not listen to anything. I don't think it is. This is my opinion. That's your opinion. We're probably going to agree to disagree. But once again, the physicalization of cargo did not make things less fun. It opened up more opportunities for fun for more people, and it opened up more opportunities for you to fail and not lose all the cargo and not lose the mission, right? The physicalization of cargo itself, I do not believe is the issue. I think it is the tedium of using tractor beams that are not effective at all, and the loading of ships is constantly banging cargo against the wall, and not fitting in properly. That's the issue with physicalized cargo, which is not physicalized cargo itself. It's everything that it touches. Everything that it touches is the problem, not the physicalized cargo itself.
A lot of players enjoy having more realistic mechanics in a game, and I am in that boat. I really do love having realistic mechanics that
that's a hill I'll
add
die
to
on.
the fun, but also don't make it a super tedious, long, boring disaster.
Yep.
Things like
exactly what he said. I'm all for some realism, but don't make it super tedious. What makes it super tedious? This. That's what makes it tedious.
Cargo system that got implemented early last year, I think are a really positive change for the overall, kind of bar for realistic mechanics in this game. It offers choice, so you can pick a large ship or a small ship, no matter how many players you're in. but you have to be prepared. If you want to fill up a Hercules by yourself, it's going to take you some time. If you decide to, you'd rather do a whole A and get that filled up a little bit quicker, by all means, it's your choice now. And
Yes, but the choices they give us are not even realistic. So, what would realism look like in this scenario? Realism would look like this. I have a C2 and I want to load up 15 SCU of, let's use like actual not like minerals, but let's use actual like items. Construction materials or ammunition or what are other commodities that fit that bill? Processed food. Those are 3 good ones, right? I want to load it up with here's a good one. 10 SCU of each of those items. What would I do? In the current state, they would give you possibly 10 of each 1 SCU boxes in a small mission. No. I should choose what the box is, because all of those are probably in boxes themselves, right? So ammunition would be in ammunition boxes, food would be in food boxes, and I don't remember what the other one I chose was, but they would be in boxes too. And if they add up to 30 SCU, I would get 1 empty 32 SCU container, fill it up with that stuff, have 2 SCU to spare, maybe throw a couple weapons in there, put it on my ship, and go do the cargo run. 1 box moved. That's it. Now, what if it's loose material? I would get a loose material box or a mineral box or something like that. The top of it would open. The station would automatically fill it with the amount of SCU that I want. I would tractor beam that box onto my ship. Done. 30 SCU of iron. Iron ore. Done. Sweet. That's realism. I would fill the container of what makes sense for my ship and be done. Right? Now, if I had a smaller ship and I needed 10 SCU, I would do 2 4s and a 2, or 2 4s and 2 4s and a 2 for like a whole A, or an 8 and a 2 for a whole A. But I would fill them up in a way that makes sense, right? It would be my choice. And they said they want to go this direction. So that's my thought process there. I'm actually going to do a deeper dive video on this specifically. I have it on my list of things, and I've been researching it, trying to get a video of real life examples, actually. And I got some good stuff. So I think,
yes, you'll have some
it'll be
pros
good.
and cons with those choices, but that's kind of the beauty of balance and having that decision. Is that, hey, if
Yeah, a
you
loaded
want to
pallet
spend
with
a
small
lot more time
boxes.
filling up a
Exactly.
bigger ship by yourself, go for it. You have the freedom to do that. It is a sandbox for a reason. And then they also give you the choice to auto load with NPCs if you decide to do that.
Yeah, you gotta stop saying the auto load as an option, because it is almost never an option to anybody. I cannot auto load my own like empty containers. I don't have the choice to get 32 SCU and lower than 8 SCU containers. I can only auto load and unload cargo commodities that are purchased from a commodity station. Those are the only ones that I can do that with. That's it.
It costs more. It'll cut your
And
profits
it barely
a little
costs
bit,
anything.
and it'll take a bit more time. But hey, choices again. I love that they're giving more choices, but at the same time, not every feature and mechanic in this game have those choices that are really engaging and fun yet. So
Yeah, agreed. There are not even like the cargo one that's giving you the most amount of choices isn't giving you enough.
it's just a matter of time until they start balancing these things and making it a more filled out experience that's more fun.
Yep. Like him saying it's a sandbox, it kind of is, but it's a sandbox with very little sand and almost no tools to create a sandcastle with, right? They got to give you the tools, and they aren't prioritizing the tools, which is
Ending with that,
the fun. They're prioritizing the realism, which is the sand, right? So they're putting things in the game, but they're not giving you the tools to interact with it in a fun way, or an engaging way or an efficient way or whatever you're looking for.
That though, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate if you made it this far.
Let me link his
I
channel
do
again.
want to hear from you. What are the realistic mechanics that you like or
please go and like and subscribe to this video. Again, seems pretty new, and I thought that was a really good talk. I think he's kind of really down to earth and gets it. And yeah,
don't like in this
cool
game?
Dude.
I know that there's a ton of opinions out there about all the different mechanics and features. I would love to debate with you, talk with you, agree with you, whatever it is. I would just love to hear your opinion in the comments. Besides that, though, again, I appreciate you watching.
Go leave a comment on what you think too.
I know this isn't the longest video, not the most in-depth video, but I just wanted to get something out there, get a little discussion on something in Star Citizen right now. It's been pretty quiet over the past month because they've been on break, and you know, there's not a ton to talk about right now. So getting into the new year, I think we'll have a bit more information. I have a few more videos lined up after this that I'm gonna get started on pretty soon here. But besides that, again, I would love to hear from you in the comments, talk with you, anything really. I just love talking Star Citizen with you guys. Besides that, though, again, thank you so much for watching.
This one looks interesting too. Solo players should not have more power. That one's interesting.
I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.
All right, yeah, really good video, and again, really good thought process. So that was the link to the video. Here's the link to the channel. I'll put it in chat again. Please go over there and show him some love. I think he definitely deserves it. So that was awesome. Good video, Kicker, and look forward to your next ones. And again, will not react to anything. If you shoot me a DM or something like that and say you really want me to, I will. But outside that, it's just trying to highlight your channel and let people know about it. And I think it's been pretty awesome. So keep up the good work, dude, and keep rocking.